Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, and we'll be doing the pre-match preview, the match preview, sorry, for pardon me, the Watford Everton game. I do have Paul McAllister joining me at some point this evening, so keep an eye on that. Paul will drop in whenever he's free. But just I'd say hello to everybody first. I'll talk my way through what I think about the Watford game. I'll read the comments as well. They've already been put in the chat pre sort of this. But like somebody's mentioned here, Watford announced today quite a couple of absences, so we'll get on to that. Bill Mason says as well, first of all, best of wishes to Mike Lyons, who is suffering from dementia. So all best wishes to him. Moving on to Watford now. Hello, Semi. You're right, mate. Moving on to Watford, like Stink Pooter has put in the chat, they've suddenly announced 9 players are injured. 9. I was quite shocked to see this. I think it's like I think they're big players as well. I think Emmanuel Dennis is out. Josh King is out. Who, in case anyone was like, oh, he's not a big player, he did score past us. So, it's nice to see he's not there. And I'll get the list up now of all the absences because we'll probably go through it and we'll go through it as this goes on a little bit later. Apologies, I've got a bad throat, it seems. It was all right before, but it seems to have just gone a little bit west. We're away for this game. Our away form hasn't been the best, has it, this season? We're coming off a great away result at Leicester, but even so, it's not enough for me to fully sit here and go, oh yeah, our away form's fine, we're fine, it'll be fine, or anything even there silly as, oh, we'll walk it or whatever. Our away form is only just picking up. But it's better to pick up just now than never. If you want to look at it with a bit of an optimistic outlook, it's better now than never. But yeah, like I said, Paul will be joining. Anyone who's joining now, Paul, hello, Inky mate. Paul will be joining later on. Semi's put Joshua King would have fancied more goals against us, so that works for me. Yeah, exactly. Josh King missing is actually quite a relief, purely because, well, he's already done it before, hasn't he, against us? We don't really need a repeat of that. And by the way, I don't think we will see a repeat. I was saying to James yesterday, I don't dare say the dreaded words "we should" win a game, because that's not Everton. You do that and you're destined for that to work against you. But Watford, there's a lot going on there, isn't there? There's a lot to, even before you talk about Everton, there's a lot to talk about with Watford at the minute. I will read out the full list. I've got the full list of the players missing, but not even that. The fact they are officially relegated. They managed to persuade Roy Hodgson to come out of his retirement. He's probably going to go straight back into that. He's just already thinking about his holidays, I think. I think the players, especially now relegation's happened, have dropped their heads. Saw Ben Foster getting a lot of stick because he's obviously still doing his YouTube while they're in the relegation battle, and a lot of Watford fans give him stick for that, which, I mean, on one hand, he's a YouTuber now as well, so you got to regularly update, upload. But at the same time, I could only imagine the fume if Jordan Pickford was caught, basically messing around when you're in the middle of a relegation fight for his YouTube channel. I can already imagine the kickoff. So you can sort of see where Watford fans are coming from to an extent, can't you? Look at some of your comments here. Inky's put good news. Our away form is now better than Norwich's. Only just now. Cam Sino's put King is out. Sarri's out. Yeah, I've got the full list here. I'll probably read it again at some point in the later on. as well. But I have the full list. Well, I had the full list here. I've just gone off it now. But Sarr is out. There are a couple more as well. I believe it's Sarr, Josh King. I believe Emmanuel Dennis as well. I'm going to put my neck out on the line. So I think that might be their top goal scorer. But so there's a couple of players out. I can't believe it was 9. And it's obviously 4 months ago, 5 months ago, you wouldn't be that shocked because obviously we're in the midst of COVID and players were out for quite a while. But this is mental. I've got it here. Ismail Sarr is out. Emmanuel Dennis is out. Tom Cleverley, Imran Louza, Kuka is out. Kiko Femina, Joshua King, and Nicholas Nkulu are all out against Everton. Cuco Hernandez, I think that's pronounced, or Cucho, is out as well for a long-term hamstring injury, and João Pedro has an outside chance after completing 1 session. I don't know who they're going to stick up front. If I'm completely honest, there's a lot of strikers out there. King's out, Dennis is out, Sarr's out, so there's their front 3. Typically, Hernandez is out, João Pedro is out. I think Watford are going to see some young lad get a go there, realistically. Some young lad's going to definitely end up getting his debut there because they've got no forwards. And I can't, obviously we win every game, but I cannot describe to you just how badly I want us to win this one. 1, because of where we are in the table. 2, because of the last time we played them. I really, really want us to win this game. Looking at their last game, they had Sarr, King, Dennis up front. All 3 of them are out. They also had Cleverley playing last time they played Palace. He's out as well. And on the bench, they didn't have a lot of attacking options, and they don't have them now. I think maybe that Ken Sema maybe. Or did he bring on Massina? Not a very good, is it? Imagine only having, well, no strikers now, but they are really, really, really in the mud. In the mud is the best way to describe that type of situation that they're finding themselves in. Like I said, I'm not confident enough to say the dreaded words. We should win that, but I'm not confident enough because, like somebody's just said, Inky's put here will probably drop a clanger. That's before realising obviously their 3 best players are out. And Inky put, I think Bramthwaite should have a go. Possibly now Mina's out. It depends, doesn't it? We'll probably see Michael Keane come back into the fold. That's another thing we'll discuss. We'll discuss our lineups. Me and Paul, he's taught. I have it on good merit. He'll be in very soon, and me and Paul will talk properly about who we think will be in the lineup. But this club, as in Watford, are a bit of a mess. I know it's very rich for us to say, isn't it? But these truly are in a mess. Watford make me worry that this is what we could be if we don't. I say the board don't kick themselves into practice quickly, which it looks like they have done now. They've got Felwell in. They've got Lampard, who a lot of the fans, I'd say the majority of fans I saw asking for. And hopefully we've learned from previous mistakes. I think sometimes having that little bit of, close call might kick us in the backside because Watford are another one. They switch managers. They just, I don't know what their issue. Watford are just an absolute mess. Don't get me wrong, we'd have to be really, really bad to be them. We'd have to wait another 3 years of the way we're going or something, but they are a mess. Cam's put Nagaga is decent for them. He's a right back for Firmino. Inky's put it'll take too long, Semi. They'll keep firing them, mate. Semi's put keep it positive, lads. We'll smash them. Yeah, Inky. I agree with Inky. Don't, even though it's in the SpongeBob meme font, I don't have the confidence to fully say that. Because there's been many a times this season I've said confident stuff and I've had it come back to bite me on the backside. I have a mate who's an Arsenal fan, and at the start of the season, I bet it. Well, last summer, before the Ancelotti thing, I betted we'd finish higher than them this season. So, Inky's put Watford have a patience as big as a microscopic. Yeah, that's the other big problem with Watford, isn't it? It's very switch and swappy, lack of patience, lack of everything. Like I said, last time we played them, it was horrible 5-2 defeat at Goodison Park. I will reminisce just a little bit on this, and I know not a lot of you will want to relive this, but it's 5-2. We scored through Tom Davis. They equalised with Josh King. Richarlison got us another goal, and then in the space of 10 minutes, really, but like added on to the extra one, in the space of 13 minutes, that Kuka scored in the 78th, King scored in the 80th, then he scored in the 87th, then Dennis scored in the 91st. So we just fell apart in a mad 13 minutes. We fell apart fantastically. Obviously, new managers now. That was a Claudio Ranieri win for Watford. That was a devastating Rafa Benitez loss for Everton. New managers, they also absolutely played 20 shots on target. 20 shots, sorry, 8 on target to our 4. Looking at the stats for this game as well, they did really just absolutely smash us in terms of creating chances. They had better XG by a mile. They had better shots, better chances. The passing and possession was about equal, but they had better chance. They just created more. It was quite a rubbish state of a game, wasn't it? Really. I do have Paul joining me now, so I'm just going to add him to the stream. You all right, Paul, mate?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. Are you? Just had a couple of problems with my Wi-Fi, but it seems to have sorted itself out, so apologies for the lateness.
Oh, it's all right. It's good to hear. We're just reminiscing from the last time we played Watford, and then I'll speak to you about then we'll probably get into the Watford as a whole, the mess they're in, and the absences. I think there's like 9 players. But yeah, last time we played Watford, I was just saying it's quite shocking, wasn't it? I know there were 2 different managers in charge, but 5-2 at Goodison Park, doesn't matter who's in charge. That's pretty tough, isn't it?
Yeah, that's an offence. That's a result rather. That no matter who the manager is, you've got to start wondering whether or not they're good enough to be managing Everton if they're going to get beat 5-2 by Watford, especially in a Watford team that have been in a relegation battle all season and looked like they were going down even before Christmas. They look nailed on to be where they are. Was Joshua King as well scored an hat-trick that day, didn't he? After getting 3 minutes of football last season under Carlo Ancelotti. That game for me earlier on in the season, that was the game where I just utterly threw my hands up in the air and said, "That's it. I've had enough of Benitez now." That if there was ever, I know a lot of people were saying it was never going to work out anyway, but if ever you needed living proof that Rafa Benitez was never going to succeed as Everton manager, then it was probably that game. That was the game for me where I just completely lost all faith that I was willing to invest that he could possibly do something here. But a lot's happened since then for us and for them. They've been officially relegated. We've got a new manager. We've gone through absolute turmoil, but hopefully we're coming out the other end now and we can see the light. So if there's a time to be playing Watford, it's probably no better period than right now, is it? When they've got nothing to play for and Everton are, I wouldn't say on the crest of a wave in terms of results, but on the crest of a wave in terms of how buoyed the fans are, how behind everyone, behind the team, everyone feels, and just the general mood around the place after months and months of misery. Everyone just kind of feels like they're looking forward to games again now rather than dreading them.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was saying to James the other day, me and James were on. It's it almost like it is. It's just it seems like people are enjoying it. There's a better mood around the fans. There's a better mood around what seems like the players and in the camp. Obviously, there's been the greeting of the bus at Goodison Park. There was the sending off of the bus as well for the Leicester game, and the sending off from Finch Farm again today for this game. The players seem to be reacting well to the fans' high spirits. There was the away fans at Leicester the other day singing "Spirit of the Blues" for, I think James said in the end it was about 30 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it went on for a long time. I love that song as well. I prefer that song to Grand Old Team. I know it's cheesy, but everyone's got one cheesy Everton song that they like, and that's the one I like personally. Always have done. But no, as you say, just everyone's really happy at the moment. Not that's the wrong way. Everyone's really, the way they used before, buoyed, or if that's the right way of saying it. Everyone's kind of feeling up again and looking forward to the games and enjoying going to the games and enjoying creating the atmospheres. And already looking forward to what we can do now in the future under Frank once we've got this mess well and truly sorted out, because we're not safe yet. It's in our hands firmly. All the signs are positive that we're going to stay up, because Watford and Burnley lost at the weekend and they've got hard games coming up compared to us. So yeah, it's good to be talking about Everton again and actually looking forward to matches rather than just sitting on here and being really, really bluesy.
Yeah, completely. It's such a refreshing, and even the extra times afterwards, it's so relieving not to have the negative effect of a loss, then come on and have to talk about a loss. And then just the overall mood as well. And then normally I avoid Twitter as well after a loss, because it's just an echo chamber of everyone feeling quite miserable. So I'm like, that's the last thing I need to be looking at. Watford did announce though today, which we'll get on to. There's a lot of players missing, isn't there, for this with this game? Sarr's out, Dennis is out, Tom Cleverley's out, that Luoza is out, Kuka's out, Firmini's out, Josh King's out, and Kulu. That Hernandez is still out, and João Pedro just has an outsider's chance. A lot of players missing, and like I said before you joined, I don't know who they're going to be playing up front or in any of those attacking positions. A lot of their attackers are out.
Good thing Josh King's out, because has he scored since that hat-trick earlier on the season against us?
I'll have a look, but in reality, probably not.
Nothing's coming to mind. I don't remember King scoring any other goal for Watford this season. If he has, then it's got by me. I know, again, Sarr, he's one of the very few players they've got who you'd look at and you think, yeah, I'd take him. Tom Cleverley, we all know what Tom Cleverley is as a footballer. He's nothing amazing, but he'll come in and he'll do a job, and he's another player who has something to prove against Everton, you'd think, if he played against us, or any time he plays against us. And that Dennis is very hit and miss. 1 week he can look absolutely world class, another week then he looks rubbish. But again, Everton are coming to town, and those type of players tend to have good days when Everton are the opposition. The 2-3 good games a year are always against Everton and maybe one other team like Man United, when Man United turn up with a bad attitude. But as you said, they're walking wounded, aren't they? What 11 are they actually going to field? And how many of those players are going to be seasoned Premier League level players? I mean, I imagine they're going to have to give a couple of players the debut and maybe a couple of reserve players who've not featured much this season. I've had a bad feeling about. Sorry, I'll just finish up. I had a bad feeling about this game because I couldn't get the memory of Fulham out of my head a few years ago when they were relegated, and then they just threw the shackles off, and we went down there and they absolutely gave us a lesson. And they looked like a team that didn't have a care in the world and played a lot better for it. But with all those injuries, then there'd be no excuse anyway. But there's no reason why I don't think Everton are going to go there and get a win now.
No, like you said, by the way, Josh King, I think only got 2 more goals after that, but they were literally like weeks apart. One was Leicester United, and then he hasn't scored since. So, like you said, it's a really good relief that he's probably not playing, because it's one of those, isn't it? Any former player against their club's an old football cliche, but when it comes to us, and that Dennis, the last you said about him being hit and miss, and he was another one that game. I thought for the minutes he came on, which weren't a lot, we made him look really good, which is, is a player that, like you said, runs quite cold most of the time. But yeah, we made him look really good. I did say that from their last lineup against Crystal Palace, which obviously was the one they were relegated in, and Roy Hodgson was caught smiling with his old Palace friends, which has gone down quite badly. Their front three out, centre mid out. They are going to, looking at their bench, that Kaloum is their only attacking option on the bench for that game.
I don't even know who he is.
I'll
probably know who he is by 10 o'clock on Wednesday. Don't want to jinx it. I'll probably know them, but you just said that name then. I thought, like, who? I don't even know what he looks like.
I think he used to play for Bordeaux, but I'm not 100% sure. But he's in terms of the Premier League, I don't think he's scored, which probably even more adds into what you just said, to be fair. But yeah, like you said, there's no sort of excuse anyway when you think they're done. The players know they're done. I think Roy Hodgson, no offense to him, is already on holiday. I think we've said it, haven't we, when we were doing
Hodgson's had his sunglasses on the sidelines for a few weeks now. Roy's thinking of what drinks he's going to order when he gets to the bar on his summer holidays, and what shorts he's picking out to take with him when he's on the beach. As you said, all those players that are out for Watford, there's no player who is going to be available for them who I can think of off the top of my head who you'd think, yeah, he could cause us some problems in. All the players that they're going to field on tomorrow night, you're probably going to look at them and think, are any of these players, was any of these players getting our team? And considering how bad our team is, then that's quite an indictment, isn't it? So I'm probably jinxing it. I don't want to sound like I'm just, dumping on Watford unnecessarily, but it's... If we don't win this game, then I'd have been upset anyway, but I'll be absolutely flabbergasted if we don't win this game, even with our terrible away form. I know we just got one win finally. We got that monkey off our back, but we're still a team that's only won 2 out of the 17 away games, out of the 16 away games we played all season. That's appalling. But even looking at this game against Watford, even if we hadn't won that game against Leicester and we were still having that monkey on our back, I'd still be thinking we've got to go to Watford and beat them, because look at the state of the team they're going to be playing against us. It's a team that would probably finish bottom half of the Championship.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, like you said, even back the reverse fixture, which was back in October, which really shows how long we left Benitez in charge before sacking him. That was in October. But even at that point in the season, it was to lose to them anyway, was at any point by then was bad, because like you said, they were already down there. They already looked like they were going. But like to lose to them now, this point in the season, would just be disappointing, especially when you look at where we are. We've enjoyed a bit of a good patch. Like you said, we got a monkey off our back. We've beaten Leicester the other day, but we're not by any means safe. It is very much in our. I will say this: it's very much in our hands now. We have we have a couple of games in. I know they've got games in hand on us. Apologies for that. No, yeah, we've got games in hand on Burnley, Leeds. So it's in our hands. We've got to win them. Obviously, it's not as easy as saying, "Oh, we've got games in hand," but it's in our hands now, which must give fans a bit of confidence.
Yeah, you imagine so. Can you still see me, mate? Sorry, I've had an issue with my phone.
I can still hear you, but you're a bit frozen.
Can you see me now? Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, get me Wi-Fi's acting up, but as long as you can hear me. As you say, Roy Hodgson. I mean, when they brought him in, I'll talk about him and then I'll go to what we did, leaving Benitez in charge. When Roy Hodgson came in, you think, right, if Watford are going to stay up, then he's the man to do it, isn't he? He's got a proven track record. He's an organiser, and that Watford team, I think, has got 1 or 2 talented players in it. Maybe they just needed some really rigid organisation and finally bring the goals down, and maybe they'll nick some points. But it's just not worked, has it? Whether it's just because the team's not quite as good as maybe I was thinking it was, maybe it's Roy just isn't interested and hasn't been interested. He's only gone there for the money. Maybe they've had some bad luck with injuries. So I don't really know. I haven't really followed Watford this season. I don't know whether they've been hard done by or what. But maybe it's a combination of all 3. But Roy going there. I mean, Roy's was retired. He left Palace because he retired last summer, didn't he? And he clearly just couldn't resist the last paycheck. And I don't think Roy's not like Sam Allardyce. I don't think Hodgson's got the ego where he can look at an absolutely rubbish team and still think that he's got the Midas touch and he can go in there and save it. Because that's what Allardyce did when he went to West Brom last year and he couldn't keep them up. He's looked at it and believed his own hype, thinking I can go into any team and save them. Whereas I think Hodgson is probably smart enough to have looked at Watford and maybe thought, well, maybe I've got a slight chance of saving them, but it's more than likely that I can't. But who cares? It's too much money for me to say no. And he's gone in there and it hasn't worked, and he doesn't seem the least bit bothered, does he? As you said, he was lapping it up at Palace the other day when they got beat and went down. He was smiling with the players. He was doing a lap of honour and letting on to the Palace fans. Didn't go near the Watford fans apparently, which has left a sour taste. So manager's not bothered. Their team's decimated by injuries. They're relegated already, so they've got no motivation. We should be going, and we should be going down there and handle them quite easily. But I mean, look at we were under Rafa Benitez. We last played them. I mean, as you said, we played them in October, and I would have sacked him that afternoon. Whereas, what day did we officially sack him on? That was after New Year, wasn't it? Was it early mid-January?
Yeah. around
Yeah,
about then. Yeah.
we went on that crazy run where was that one of the first games? We went on a run where we won 1-14, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might have been very early on. Maybe that was the second or third game out of that 14. We ultimately only won the Arsenal game in. But Benitez should have been well gone before the new year. I go back to what I said before. That game was the game where we got beat by Watford, and not only got beat, we conceded 5 goals in 15 minutes, if that. No,
Yeah.
it was conceded 4 goals in about the last 15 or so minutes. It was 2-1, wasn't it? And then they brought that tennis on, as we say, and we just absolutely fell to pieces. And I don't necessarily it was because he came on and he was suddenly doing an Mbappe impression. I think we were just so disorganised and so mentally fragile, and just one or two things went against us, like a player coming on and having a good day, that it was just the perfect storm. So, I mean, I heard him frank what he said earlier on today about our injuries. Van der Beek's not going to be available again. Just seems like that loan was a bit pointless, wasn't it? I don't think we'll be seeing Donny van der Beek in an Everton shirt ever again. He'll go back to Man United. I don't think he's going to even be on the bench for the last few games. Whether that's because he's injured or whether it's because he's had a phone call off Tanag and told him to, get himself ready for the pre-season and not risk an injury. I don't know. Yerry Mina, I like Mina, but again, he's made of biscuits, isn't he? There's no point being talented if you can't get out on the pitch and perform for us. You're just taking money otherwise. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's apparently fit again, but he's not doing enough to get out on the pitch. I mean, he didn't come off the bench, did he, against Leicester? And I don't think he came off the bench in the game before that against Chelsea. And did he come off the bench in the game before that?
No, I don't think he did.
No, he hasn't played. He was definitely on the bench for the last 2 games, and he didn't get off on. And they were both must-win games, and we were both in both games we were under pressure late on, and we decided to bring Rondon on just to get us up the pitch and relieve a bit of that pressure. And both times he chose Rondon over Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So I don't think we're going to be seeing Dominic Calvert-Lewin before the end of the season. Whether he's still here next year is up in the air, isn't it? But we've got injury problems ourselves, but I just think right now, as you said, there's no need to change the lineup, thankfully, because everyone's performing the way we want them to. So, is there any player when you look at from who Watford are likely going to play who you think I'd worry about him? Because I'm being honest, only Watford players I know are the ones that you listed off saying they're not going to play because they're injured. All the other ones, other than Ben Foster, I couldn't pick them out. I wouldn't know who they are if they stood next to me in a lift.
No, not in. Not the attacking ones anyway. I think, which is the more worrying one. I think I'm looking at the squad, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their 7 are out. There's just that Kalu, a lad called Bar, and a lad called Keena. I think that is, and they are. I don't even know who they are. I don't know where they've come from. So in terms of an attacking threat, no.
They've made a couple of odd decisions over the last few years, haven't they, Watford? I'm not even talking about the way they sack managers. I'm talking about a couple of players who have let go, who were definitely contributing something to them. I know Deeney was kind of getting up there in age and wasn't getting many goals other than penalties. At least he wasn't when they last played in the Premier League. But they had Deulofeu, and Deulofeu obviously left them when they went. I think he's still their player. I know he's at Udinese now, but is he at Udinese under a loan deal?
I cannot. Did they let him go this season? Yeah.
I think he left after they last went down, but I think they loaned him out on maybe a 2-year deal with the option to buy. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone correct me in the comments if I am, but I'm pretty sure officially Deulofeu is still a Watford player and he's just on loan in Udinese. And I was very shocked they didn't bring him back in the summer. If that was the case, and if they could have brought him back in the summer, I think they definitely should have and said, "We're back in the Premier League now. We need you. You're going to be helping keep us up," because Deulofeu would be the best player in their team comfortably if he was still there. Deeney, I know I said before he was getting old, but I think he'd have made more of a contribution than Joshua King has. Other than that hat-trick he's hit against us and those 2 goals you mentioned, he's been a ghost all season for them, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Who else? Ben Foster's been in goal, but he's right up there in age, isn't he? But he's still reliable as ever.
had that Isaac Success that they let go.
Yeah, that was the lad I was trying to think of. What's happened to him? Did they sell him in January?
Yeah, he went to Udinese. According to this.
Did the owners just throw the towel in months and months ago and just decide we're just going to get rid of any high earner who's here because we're preparing for life in the Championship? Because it just seemed like what I'm basically trying to say is it doesn't feel like Watford have put their best foot forward this season. At least when they went down a couple of years ago, they made much more of a fight of it than they did this year. Other than bringing Roy in, who on paper looked like it was a really good decision considering he's kind of been there and done it before. Other than bringing Roy, it just felt like they were just happy to go down, or very accepting of the fact they were going to go down.
It is strange because I'm looking now and that Isaac Success, according to this, is on loan, so they've not even sold him, loaned him out. They had Andre Gray as well, who's obviously gone to Queen's Park.
Yeah, he's another name who wouldn't come to me as well. Yeah, get players who they're not whale beaters, but surely Watford would be a little bit better off than where they are if these players were still there and they were still playing regularly for them. Whether they just got really good offers financial wise and they just thought we can't say no to this, maybe they're offering us a really big loan fee, maybe he's a high earner and they're offering to pay all his wages and they're already thinking ahead and realising we're going to be in the Championship next year, we just need to kind of save as much money as we can. But as you said, they just didn't seem like a team that was really desperate to stay up and willing to put absolutely everything on the line like Burnley have done, like Leeds seem like they're doing, like we've seemed like we're doing. Even Norwich, to be fair to them, they're even worse than Watford as a team. But I've seen a bit more spirit from Norwich in the few times I've seen them this season than I have Watford.
Yeah, I remember earlier on in the season, I think it was everyone thought Norwich was gone, weren't they? And then they had that period where they just crept out of the relegation and then went back in it, obviously. But
yeah, but they made a little bit of a fight of it, haven't they, Norwich? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There was a bit where they, according to the internet and pundits, they were gone in October or September, and they'd come out, then they'd just ultimately go back into it. But there was that brief moment.
This will be interesting. When did Watford go into the relegation zone, and when were they last not in it? Did they drop into it early and have never been out of it? Because I know Leeds, who are in it now after our good result at the weekend, they've only been in the bottom three, I think, for 3 weeks all season. They've hardly been in it, and now they're in it now, and they look very likely to finish in it. But I think it's the opposite of Watford. I think they've been in it virtually all the season, or at least the vast majority of it, and they haven't looked like getting out at any points. Because even, as you said then, even Norwich had that little period of when they first brought Dean Smith in, and they had a little bit of a bounce, and they got a few good results, and they just crept out of it before they dropped back down again. When were Watford last not in the relegation zone? Does anyone know?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I wouldn't even know how to get that one up either, to be honest.
Erwin Koeman's just brought up a name from the past. I didn't even know he was there. Dan Gosling could play tomorrow. I didn't know Dan Gosling was even at Watford. No, there we go. We've got one player who was saying before that they'll have no one to play who will have anything to prove against Everton, who won't have his one game in 50 where he's any good. There's the perfect one, Dan Gosling.
I was going to say former player as well. That's got a horrible...
Yeah. Left the club in crappy circumstances as well. Hard feelings. Hasn't done anything since leaving the club. Not with any note.
Yeah, that's. I was going to say if Tom Cleverley wasn't out, I was going to say Tom Clever would be another one if Josh King isn't there. But Dan Gosling's knocking about there.
I don't have a problem with Tom Cleverley. He was just one of those players. He came in, he wasn't good enough. We moved him on. No hard feelings. Even when he missed that penalty against us, famously. At Goodison, and I think it was one of the games after we'd sacked Koeman, and we had it was Jordan Unsworth's interim spell, wasn't it? Where we were 2-0 down, and Richarlison was actually playing for Watford that day. He scored for Watford's first goal, I think, and then Niasse got the first goal for us back. He fell over, and the ball hit his face and went in. Then I think Calvert-Lewin scored an equaliser from a corner a few minutes from time, and then right at the start of stoppage time, Bain scored a penalty, and then there ends up being a stupid amount of stoppage time. Like, I think it was 10 minutes because of an injury that had happened. And then with like the last kick of the game, they got a penalty and cleverly hit it wide. But even, I mean, I was absolutely elated that we won that game and the opposition blew their chance to take 2 points off us. But I felt bad for Cleverley because I didn't have a problem with Cleverley personally. Some Evertonians seem to have a problem with him or just like laughing at him. But I don't really get that. I thought he was a good egg. He just wasn't what we were looking for long term. So we took the chance to move him on.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it must have been a bad penalty because Semi's just put here that the penalty had him rolling. He won't forget it. It must have been a
he dragged it well wide. Yeah, it wasn't even a save. It was nowhere close to going
in. Obviously, like I was saying, this is now in our hands as well. Looking at the table, we've got against a game in hand on Burnley, a game in hand on Burnley and Leeds, and then we've got 2 in Southampton who are only on 40 points. They're only 5 points ahead. When it is in the realms if something bad happens that we could jumps even more then, which was someone was putting before. It is in our hands now, and like you said, there is a good feeling around the club. The team look to be improving. Obviously, games in hand are always that one. You've got to win them, and we've had games in hand before that we haven't won, and we've dropped down into it. But I think it gives me a bit more confidence that it's in our power, in the players' power, than waiting for people to do us a favour. Especially when you think when Burnley lost Sean Dyche, nobody was willing to do us a favour. Burnley went on that really good run. I just don't think I think it's far too risky to leave it in the hands of fate or any other team pulling themselves up.
I still think Leeds and Burnley have got at least another 3 points in them. I think both of them, Leeds, I think will win a game before the end of the season, somehow, some way. Burnley, you look at their next few fixtures, they've got Tottenham away, then they've got Villa again, this time away, and then they've got Newcastle at home on the final day. But Newcastle are a tough team to beat now. I think the only team that's really done a job on them since Eddie Howe came in was Manchester City the other day. Other than that, I don't remember Newcastle losing any game by a wide margin since Eddie Howe's been there. I'm sure I heard a stat on Match of the Day. I think Newcastle have won 10 of their last 16 games, something like that. I'm sure he said when I was watching the Match of the Day, the Man City Newcastle highlight, he said Newcastle had won 10 of their last 15, but that will obviously be 16 now with the Man City defeat. So Newcastle have picked up a lot of points over the last 3 months, and they've been beating teams like Burnley, who are below them in the table or in and around the same spots as them. It's just become bread and butter to Newcastle now, like it should be to any team that's aspiring to get up there in the league. So I don't see Burnley beating Newcastle on the final day. Anything could happen. I've been wronged lots of times about Burnley recently. I was one of those who, after they sacked Dyche, I was saying they won't get another 6 points. And look, they've gone and got, since then, they've gone and won 3 games and got a very good draw against West Ham as well that they should have won also. So we're not safe yet. People who are saying that we're safe are obviously counting the chickens. I mean, it's in our hands. I think 39 will get us over the line. We're on 35 now, aren't we, with 4 games left? The Burnley and Leeds are on 34 with 3 games left. I think both of those teams are probably going to finish on 37, 38. If we get 39, we'll be okay. If we get 40, we'll definitely be all right. And we might, as you said, we might even feasibly finish above Southampton, because I don't think Southampton are going to get another point before the end of the season. I think the fact that they're on 40 means they'll just be all right. They're not quite going to get dragged into it because there's not 3 teams who can overtake them. There's maybe 2 teams, us and either Burnley or Leeds, but I don't think all 3 of us will overtake Southampton. So we could very feasibly finish 15th. I mean, if we win this game tomorrow, and then we win the 2 home games, which will be the favourites in, and we've beaten the likes of Chelsea and we've beaten the likes of Leicester away, we should be well capable of beating Brentford and Palace at home. We win our next 3 fixtures, that's 9 points. That puts us on 44. 44 would take us up to what? 14th, 15th?
Yeah.
Which would be that would be crazy considering where we were a month ago and how terrible we were performing on a consistent basis. But it's very, very feasible now. I'd still be happy to settle for 17th on goal difference. I really would. As long as it means we stay up, I'll settle for anything. But I do think now that we will get at least 39 points, and 39 points will be enough to keep us up. But we've got to go out and do it first.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. And worth pointing out, Semi has been saying about Southampton in the comments, and looking at it now, when you said about their 2 games, I didn't realise who their last 2 fixtures were, but it's Liverpool, who are still, still have the title to try and push for, and then it's Leicester on the last day. Leicester, Brendan Rodgers probably doesn't want to add any more losses to it. It's been a bit of a dismal season for them.
Yeah, they need a little bit of a flourish to their season, don't they? They were obviously going all out for that cup, which I was saying they should have done, because winning that Europa Conference League they were in was basically the equivalent of finishing sixth, wasn't it? Now that they're out of that, I think Leicester can still possibly finish top half. They'll want to do that, so they can still say it's not been, a very bad year. If Leicester managed to get in the top half, they can say it's a solid year where they've just kind of consolidated and had a little bit of a cup run, and they can go into transition next year. Whereas if Leicester finish 12th or 13th, which they still possibly could, then that'll put pressure on Rodgers, and he will be well aware of that fact, and he won't want that. So Leicester are going to go all out to win their final few games, and I think they definitely will beat Southampton at home on the final day. It just, as I said before, the fact that Southampton have already got to 40 points means they'll probably be all right. But we could still finish above them, and so could one of the other two teams below us. But I don't think us, Burnley and Leeds will all get above Southampton. I think it's definitely going to be us, Burnley or Leeds who go. It's just we're very much the favourites to finish top of that pile now.
Yeah, I think we have the slightly nicer run as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm looking at it now. There's not too much difference between our goal difference and Burnley's now. Burnley are on -17, we're on -19. So they go and get beat by Tottenham by a heavy scoreline, or they go and get beat by Villa by a heavy scoreline, and we win our next game, then that'll naturally mean we go above them in the goal difference charts. So we could afford to finish on the same point as them. I mean, Leeds are on -35. They're not going to... Something crazy is not going to happen. They're not going to have a 15, 16, 17 goal swing in 3 games. That's just absolutely not happening.
And they've still got Chelsea to go as well.
Still got Chelsea yet. So if Leeds finish on level points with us or Burnley, they'll go down. They need to get more points than either us or Burnley. Whereas we could still finish above Burnley with a better goal difference. It's very possible because there's only 2 goals in it now, and they've got games you're looking at where you could definitely see them shipping some goals, especially now that Tarkowski's got a red card and he's their best centre-half by a mile. He's not going to be playing these final few fixtures now.
Yeah, I said to James the other day, I said it very possibly could come down to something as tough as goal difference, because we were on about it in the way that we look a lot more pragmatic now. We look a lot more solid at the back when we've been playing, which is a bit confident. Obviously, we're not shipping out goals. The 5-0 to Spurs, was it? That's one of the ones that has me a bit flashback. Even against Liverpool, everyone was saying that score was going to be like a cricket game, wasn't it? And we only lost 2-0 in the end, which was important, I think, because if we'd have gone in that and lost 6 or 7-0, like a lot of people thought we were going to, and they were very right to think that as well, considering how bad we've been. But to keep, other than that 5-0 against Spurs, I don't think we've had too many absolute drubbins this season, have we? I mean, there was that Norwich one, which was 3-0. I think that was a bad day. Can you think of any other big scorelines we've lost by this season? There's a couple, but obviously the Watford was well.
Watford 5-2, yeah.
Palace in the cup was a bit of 4-0.
Palace in the cup, yeah, but that was more just really, really annoying considering what was on the line in that. But it wasn't disastrous to our goal difference, was it?
No, and since Lampard's come in, it's not been that bad. We played City and we only lost 1-0 there, and that's the Rodri handball game as well. So
yeah.
We could have got something out of that. Maybe should have got something out of that.
Yeah, whereas the likes of Leeds are playing City and getting beat 4-0, aren't they? And the other games they've lost. They
lost 7-0 in the first game as well. They've had 11 goals shipped to City this season. Yeah,
7-0 in the first game. They always say, don't they, you shouldn't pay attention to goal difference, but it is important. Like, a league title got decided not too long ago, and goal difference wasn't that when Aguero won it on the final day. United and City that year finished on equal points, but City had the better goal difference. That's how they won it. So goal difference is very, very important. So I would settle for a 1-0 tomorrow against Watford. Let's just win it. But if we can go to Watford and put a few goals past them, then that would be an absolutely smashing evening. That brilliant.
Yeah, it'd absolutely give us some breathing room, and even this season, about goal difference in the league title. Even this season, obviously depending on what it is, but there's been a lot of focus on it at the top because that could decide it as well. I remember it was 2 games ago, wasn't it? They were both level, and people were absolutely buzzing that they were both level because it's neck and neck. Goal difference, especially now, is even more is vital, and down the bottom it looks just as tight and as important as down the bottom, down the top, up at the top. Sorry. So it's something well worth keeping an eye on.
Southampton are on -20, so if they finish the season on 40 points and we finish on 40 points, we'll very likely finish above them because I don't think they're going to pick up another point. And if we win a couple more games, which I think we will, then we're already on a better goal difference than them now. We're on -19, they're on -20, so Burnley could still get above them if they're with -17 if they get a few results as well. So Southampton will be down there. Wouldn't shock me at all if Southampton ends up finishing 4th from bottom. I just don't think they're going to drop into the final 3 because I don't think 40 points will see you relegated this year.
No, yeah, I think that'll be safe, but I think they'll be drawn into. I think if we leapfrog them, I don't think it's a massive surprise.
No,
looking at the table, it is quite close down there. It's closer than I think
it is very close. I'm looking at it now. Leicester are on 42 points with 34 games. Crystal Palace are on 44 points in 10th. So if Leicester win their game in hand, they go up to 10th from 14th. I think it's still feasible. It is still feasible that we end up It's not. I don't think it's going to happen. Absolutely not. But we could still mathematically finish in the top 10. Because we've got 35 games with 12 points to play for. We could finish on 47. And Brighton are on 47 right now with 2 games left. In the 9th. Palace are on 44 with 3 games left. We're on 35 with 4.
Yeah, this table is incredibly tight. And like you said, Brighton in 9th. And then above them, like the West Ham are only 3 points above them. Wolves are only 3 points above them. West Ham are only 5 points above them. The table as a whole this year is incredibly close. There's not much in it, really.
No, it's basically the top 5 and then just everyone else, because even United have fell into that bracket now. They're on 58, but they've only got 1 more game. So if they lose their last game as well, they'll finish probably 6th or 7th on 58, which is not often. We finished last season with Ancelotti. We finished on 59 and ended up in 10th.
Jeez,
the madness of it.
Yeah, that just show in a different year, who knows what could have been, eh?
Yeah.
Absolutely mad when you said that. Then I was like, wow, that just goes to prove how tough.
When you consider the injuries we've had this season and the upheaval and the chaos off the pitch and the amount of times we've been screwed over by officials, the amount of points we've been cheated out of. If you take even half that away, we could be sitting on 50 plus points easily in the top half, still fighting for Europe. So I know things have been terrible this season, but a lot of it has been down to just really, really bad luck or stuff out of our control, like officials screwing us over. I know the Benitez period was really, really dark, and the club were at fault for that, for not sacking him a lot sooner, or not hiring him in the first place. But there's been a lot of stuff that's gone against us this season, where if even a portion of that had not happened against us, then we'd be nowhere near relegation.
No, exactly.
That's why I've been saying for weeks now, it was all on this year. We just can't go down this year because I'm absolutely sure next season, I mean, you can't be, I haven't got a crystal ball, you don't know. I hope I'm not jinxing it, but I'd be absolutely confident that next season, with Frank Lampard at the helm and most of our players back fit, even if we have to sell 1 or 2 of them, would be a lot better than this year. I'm not saying we could go back and challenge for Europe again next year, but if we'd have even half the things go for us that we've had go against us this year, we could be back in the top 10 very, very easily. Because look how tight the league is. There's a lot of teams who are above us in the table who are not better than us. They've just had better decision makers off the pitch. They've had better luck than us in terms of injuries, and they've had officials not screwing them over. So I don't think there's a massive gulfing difference between us and Aston Villa. There's not a gulfing difference between us and Brentford or us and Brighton. And Brighton are having a great year. They've had a lot of other things go for them that we haven't go for them, like the injuries. Squad still needs a lot of work. I'm not trying to make out like I think our squad's great or anything. We still need a massive clear out in the summer. But I think a lot of the problems the club have had this season are very easily fixable.
Well, Eugene McGeever's put here, he said, I think Everton will have a clear out this summer, which from the rumours I'm hearing, I don't know if it's as much of a clear out as Matt, but it sounds like we could potentially see some big players go for, for spend elsewhere, maybe get a couple, do what Villa did with Grealish, sell a big boy or two and then invest it with a couple of players instead of one big good player.
Yeah, well, I don't know if there's maybe a video plan for this in the next week or so, but I'll ask it clearly. I'll ask it quickly now and just give me a yes or no answer, because I think probably we'll do a video on this and go into the detail about it. Because Frank Lampard mentioned today that, well, he didn't outright say it, but he hinted strongly at the fact that he would like Delph to get a new deal. Would you give Fabian Delph a new deal, yes or no?
No,
No,
it's been mentioned in the comments as well today. A couple of the lads in the comments have mentioned it earlier on about Delph.
No, I wouldn't give him one either. I'll go into massive detail about it on the video I think we're going to do in the next couple of days. But no, I wouldn't give him one. But he's just an example of someone who I think will go. Delph will go. I think Mina will probably go. I think his injury record's just too bad. Coleman, you don't know about him, whether he'll be moved on or whether he'll retire. Kenny's out of a contract as well. Who else is there? Gomez. I think if we could find anyone to even take him on loan and pay his wages, I think we would push Gomez out the door. I think Frank definitely doesn't like Gomez.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while.
I haven't seen him I think that Southampton game where he came on and just basically utterly embarrassed himself, I think showed Frank what he was all about. Frank's looked at him and thought he's definitely not someone I can rely on here. Not seeing him, so I think Frank will definitely want Gomez gone. Alan, wouldn't be shocked at all if he moves on. I like Alan, but he's very limited and he's getting up there in age. Maybe we try and sort a move out for him. Again, just get his wages off the bill. There's a couple of others as well. I mean, Calvert-Lewin, who knows what's going to happen there. Richarlison, if he's the only player, if he did go, I'd wish him all the best. I really hope he doesn't, because I love the lad, but I think he deserves a big move, and he's been here long enough and he's given us enough to us that a lot of fans would be happy for him to kind of go and take his chance at a big club now. You just don't know, but I think there's going to be a massive clear out in the summer, and it will only be a good thing. And at the moment, the squad, as dire as it is still basically on a fair playing field with no injuries, could still very feasibly finish 11th, 12th with the way this league is.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think certain players, in terms of Delph, Semi-Chard put earlier on that he absolutely not. I think it's maybe he's playing for the contract, but he said he's been a wage thief for easily to the last 2 years. It reminds me of John Joe Kenny when he put in that performance against Leeds, and then I think the Toffee Blues Twitter put out, "Would you offer him a new contract?" and he got a lot of yeses, and it was a bit like that. It's like memories are very short and reactionary. Like a good game or a string of good games doesn't make up for 3 seasons of absolute.
Phoning it in Delph's case, yeah, or in Mina's case, falling apart every time anyone even looks at you, or in Kenny's part, just being completely teared as a footballer.
Yeah, I absolutely hope we don't do it. Also, Fabian Delph's getting on a bit. What realistically would we offer him? It'd have to be a very short a year. Anything more than a year would be silly.
He's not going to take pay as you play. I've seen people mention that. Oh, would have Delph on a pay as you play deal? He's not going to take a pay as you play deal.
They do that in the Premier League. I think someone said it to Owen the other day, and Owen tweeted back going, I don't even think they do that in the Premier, pay as you play.
I think no. You can obviously give people contracts which incentivize them, where they'll get a lot more money if they play a certain amount of games, but you can't just literally give someone a contract where it says if you're injured and you're not playing, then we're not going to pay you anything. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Contract.
Yeah. Essentially, we can't just treat the players like sport, like Sports Direct employees, can we? But people who are suggesting that, let's give Delph a contract, which basically means if he doesn't play a certain amount of games, he doesn't really get a lot of money. He's never going to take that, and no footballer in the right mind would. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think John said in the comments, we're looking to do specifically a keep, sell, loan video when the season finishes, and I imagine we'll cover all of this then. But the squad's going to have to undergo major surgery in the summer. I think it's going to take major surgery, regardless whether we go down, whether we stay up, whatever. It's just, are we going to be better for it when it's over? Are we going to be the squad going to be even healthier than it is now, or is it going to be even more unhealthy? Are we going to sell a few players and replace them with rubbish? Are we going to let players go who we don't end up filling their spot with, place with. You just don't know. There's so much that needs to happen in the summer, and it's going to be really interesting to observe it.
Yeah, I 100% agree, mate. I think it'll be an interesting video when we do it. Going back to the Watford game, give me your score. I'll ask you score predictions last. Give me your predicted lineup. I was going to ask you for players you're worried about, but we've just done Watford. It sounds like they don't have many players that would even lose sleep over. So give me your what you think Frank will go with for us.
Pickford in goal, obviously, and I'll big up Pickford because I've slagged him off loads on this channel. Even when he was playing well, I've always kind of tried to be devil's advocate and say, well, for a long time he was unreliable. We can't just assume that all his problems are over with and he's going to be great forever now. But he's been our most important player in this run of games. He's got us 6-7 points on his own easily. So well done to Pickford. I've got to get that in. But my team would be Pickford. Michaelenko, I think, is fit. I think Frank confirmed that today. He just went off with a bit of cramp, which is good because if he wasn't, we don't have an established left back in the first team. So Michaelenko, assuming he's okay. A centre half, I don't think Godfrey's going to make it. I think he's still not ready. So you're going to have to just go with Keane and Holgate, aren't you? And Keane, to be fair to him, came on and did really well against Leicester. But again, Michael Keane's one of those players who I'm not shy in expressing how I feel about him. I definitely don't think he's good enough for Everton, and he's another player who I'd want to see the back of ASAP. But we're going to have to play him, I think. I mean, I think Branthwaite's got his fans, hasn't he? And I think there's a valid point for putting Branthwaite in your team now. But I think just after Keane comes in and plays as well as he did, you're just going to have to trust them for this one game. So yeah, Keane and Holgate in centre back. Coleman at right back because I absolutely don't want to see John Joe Kenny in the team unless absolute needs must. I definitely don't want to see three at the back either. I want to go with a flat back four. We started the Leicester game with wing backs and I can't stand that formation. I hate it. I always will. It's never worked, no matter what managers tried it with whatever group of players that we had at the time. Three at the back or five at the back when we're out of possession. Whatever you want to word it, it's crap. It doesn't work. There's only 3 or 4 teams in the entire world who can pull it off. And they're all world-class teams that are winning trophies consistently because they've got world-class elite players. Everton are not that team and are a long way off from being that team. So Frank, please stop using 3 at the back. So I'd say it'd be goalkeeper in me defence. I would go with Doucouré and again with Delph in the middle. Van der Beek's apparently not going to make it. Alan is fit, but Delph is playing well, so don't take him out of the team as long as he's fit. He looks like he's developed a little bit of an understanding with Doucouré. So those two in the middle. I'd have Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray on the wings, and I'd have Alex Iwobi in the number 10 slot. Maybe he can alternate the three. Maybe Iwobi, Gordon, and Gray can move around, switch positions as the game goes on. But I would definitely start with Iwobi as number 10, with Gordon and Gray on the wings, and I'd start with up front Richarlison. I mean, Calvert-Lewin's fit, and Richarlison's not a centre forward, but I don't think you should be changing this team around too much when it's coming off 2 wins. I think the only thing you'd have to do is play Michael Keane, considering Yeremina is not fit. So that's my team, just the exact same as the one we've been seeing. Just take the injured Mina out and put Keane in.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, mate. To be honest, I can't see why you, like you said, it's a team that coming off a couple of wins. I don't know why you would change the formula if it doesn't need it. I'm completely with you as well with the back 3-5. I
wouldn't mind seeing Richarlison go back out wide, and if he decides to start Calvert-Lewin, because I think Watford, there's a good chance we might score off a set piece in this game, because Watford's back line is obviously weakened because they're missing a lot of first choice. If we get Calvert-Lewin up in the box and he's got the confidence and the motivation to actually get up and actually jump for once, which he hasn't done in months, go up for a header and actually win it with some conviction, then I could see us scoring some goals from headed goals against Watford, honestly. So I wouldn't have a problem if Calvert-Lewin comes back into the team and we drop Gray or Gordon and move Richarlison out wide instead. But I don't think Frank's going to do that. I think, as I said, Frank's going to stick with what's working and just only make changes necessary because of injuries.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I don't think he's going to do it unless maybe we'll see. It'd be nice to see maybe Calvert-Lewin a little bit later on if needs be. But like you said, we've seen Rondon the last couple of times for whatever. I can't even begin to think why. There could be a number of things. Could be one's off in the summer. Could be he's just not ready. It could be a number of a plethora.
Could be Frank doesn't trust him. Maybe Frank's looked at him and feels the same as he does about a few other players. Clearly, where he just thinks their heart's not in it, and they're not going to give it all for the cause.
Yeah, or don't want to knock an injury. Although he should, he's coming back from quite a tough injury. I understand, but you'd hope he'd be ready for at least 10 minutes of football by now, and 10 good minutes of football. But Semi's probably his time at the club's probably up, and he's probably leaving. In Semi's opinion, he's probably leaving in the summer anyway. So that could be the realistic one. Like you said, his heart's not in it. He might be looking elsewhere. Although the rumours around him, the interest in him's died down. I've seen Gabriel Jesus might be going to Arsenal now.
Why would any team want Calvert? Why would any team that are 100% undeniably better than Everton are, bigger than Everton, basically the top 6, 7? Why would any of those teams want Calvert-Lewin considering the season he's had? I know he's been injured, but there's been a lot of games where he just doesn't look like he's fancied it. Maybe it's mental scars. Maybe he's like this. It happens with strikers, doesn't he? They get muscle injuries and then they don't trust the bodies anymore. That's unfortunate if that is the case. But if I'm an Arsenal or I'm a Tottenham or someone, because maybe Kane might leave Tottenham, and if he does, they have to sign another striker. If you're one of these teams that was interested in Calvert-Lewin 12, 18 months ago, I don't understand why you'd still be interested in him now, considering the season he's just had. You'd look at him and you'd think, his injury record's been really, really bad. I don't want to take the chance. Or you look at him and you think, there's a player there who's blatantly not interested. What happens if he comes here and we hit a bad patch? Is he just going to down tools on us as well? Not saying he has down tools, but you don't know. I mean, a lot of people are looking at him and don't like his body language at all. And I'm one of them. So something's clearly going on. And it's not just a case of he's not fit. There's clearly something going on around Calvert-Lewin. That means he's not been performing the way he has been. And I don't believe it's just firmly because he got an injury and he's taken a lot of time to get back up to speed. I think it's either he's been mentally scarred and he doesn't trust his body anymore, or because he's just completely lost interest. It's one of the two, or it's a combination.
Yeah, I must admit, the other day I was thinking this. I was like, if we were linked with a player, there was, if Calvert-Lewin wasn't playing for us and we were linked with him and he had the exact same 2 years, you wouldn't be up for it, would you? I'd be quite annoyed. I think a lot of fans would as well. If it was the other way around, you'd get quite a lot, being quite annoyed on Twitter on what we're buying him for.
What are we taking a chance on him for? He's going to want big wages. He's not going
cheap either.
Yeah, you worded it perfectly. If Calvert-Lewin didn't play for Everton and Everton were getting linked with Calvert-Lewin, I wouldn't be up for that at all.
No, not at the moment. Bearing in mind, people were on about, I think last year, people were talking silly money like 50, 60. If we were linked with a player for 30 with his injury record this season and the output this season, I'd be a bit niffed about it. Because obviously he did have that good season, but it's just, like you said, it's a gamble that if it was the other way around, I'd be a bit like...
Dele Alli's found himself the last few years in a very similar situation to what Calvert-Lewin is now. And the only way Tottenham got rid of him was by giving him to us for basically nothing. We don't have to pay anything for his first 20 league games, wasn't it? That's the only way Tottenham got rid of Dele Alli. And Dele Alli, I thought, was a lot more proven than Calvert-Lewin's been.
Yeah, right. Apologies.
Motorbike.
I agree, mate. I think it's... it's even got to the point. Obviously, I don't want to. So I hope he does bounce back, even if we keep him and stuff. But it's got to the point now where I'd definitely rather lose him than Calvert-Lewin and than Richarlison. Sorry, and I'd definitely rather lose him than Pickford, in my opinion. Being out the three, big 100%. Money players.
100%. But now that we've just spent the last 10 minutes basically having a go at him, then I hope Frank does do what I said I wouldn't mind him doing, where he does start him and he does finally score again and rediscover his form and his confidence. Do us a world of good. I'm happy to come on here and eat my words if Calvert-Lewin wins us the game tomorrow. Just win the game somehow. Don't care who scores as long as we win.
Same. I'd be absolutely buzzing if he scored a hat-trick now and we just got next time we're on, we just got you're wrong. I'd happily go, yeah, we were, one of them, isn't it? I'd happily eat my words if it meant us winning, but hopefully he can build his way around. Before we finish, give me your score predictions.
I think it'll be a tight game. I'm going to go for a 1-0 to Everton. I think we'll score probably either side of half time, either just before half time or just after, and I can see the game just playing out a bit nervy. They'll throw something at us, but I think if we can survive a nervy last half an hour against Leicester, and we can survive a nervy last 40 odd minutes against Chelsea, then I think we could survive whatever onslaught, or we should be surviving whatever late onslaught Watford throw at us if we're ahead in the game and they're chasing it. So I think we'll win, but I just don't think we'll score many goals. I think if we do score, we'll kind of just be happy to sit on it. Maybe that's the wrong thing to do. Maybe they are there for the taking. But I just think Frank will look to just get the points and get out rather than impress anybody. And I don't mind that. So I'm going to go for a 1-0. I think it will be Richarlison who scores as well if he starts and Calvert-Lewin doesn't. It'll be 1-0 Richarlison, and I could see it definitely coming from a goal line, a corner, or a goal line scramble from a set piece, or maybe even an own goal. We just throw a ball into the box and it takes a dodgy deflection. I think it will be a very scruffy goal and a very, very scruffy game, but one I just think will edge.
No problem. I'm good. Sammy has put 3-1 to Everton. I'm going to go with 2-0 to Everton. I think I hope that Watford are as depleted as I would, and the Watford players are about as depleted as I would be if I was in that squad, bearing in mind all the players they're missing, they're relegated. The manager doesn't look that fussed that they're relegated. I'm just hoping that a lot of the Watford players...
So unfussed that he was walking around laughing and getting claps off the fans who had just relegated them.
Honestly, I saw loads of Palace Watford fans fuming, and I was just like, do you know what? Fair play. If that was happening at us, I'd be absolutely bad. I'd want him terminated there and then.
I'm not necessarily a Hodgson fan. I know Owen, who we see on the channel, is a big fan of Roy Hodgson. I think he's one of those Marmite managers where people either rate him and like him, or they don't rate him at all. I'm probably in the latter camp, but yeah, as you said, when you've got a fan base that's really, really angry, and it's probably going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if they start booing Hodgson there tomorrow night. I certainly would be, given the way he behaved at Palace, with a team that's as depleted as it is and got nothing to play for, and a fan base that looks like who are absolutely livid at a manager and probably don't want to be looking at him anymore. And the manager himself looks like he's already packing his suitcase for his holiday. But we just absolutely can't be going there and getting anything less than 3 points. I'd be disappointed. If you'd have said to me 4 or 5 days ago, you're going to go down to Watford and get a point, I wouldn't say I'd have took it, but I wouldn't have said it would have been a really bad result. Whereas I think if going down to Watford now, given these circumstances, anything other than a win is a bad result.
Yeah, I completely agree. A couple of people here have said 4-1. There's a lot of optimism, which is obviously, it's great, by the way. Like, that's what we were saying before about the feeling with the fans. It's great to see some optimism and not, we're going to get beat 1-0 or whatever. But yeah, someone put here, it might have been Wonderless. He hopes Richarlison get a goal. Obviously, it's his former club. Watford fans would absolutely, to tell you what, that'd be one way to get the booze off Hodgson if Richarlison scores and celebrates, which there's every chance he could do. Yeah,
but I just said I didn't like Hodgson, but I don't feel sorry for Watford fans, the Plazzy Snakes, whatever that is, they get out and whatever. Like, they're going to go down. They're probably going to come back because they're a yo-yo club, but I wouldn't be sad if they don't come back, put it that way.
No, yeah, I was saying this to James. I was saying this season I've seen a couple on Twitter who were absolutely gasping for us to be down there with them for some unknown reason, and I'd love to beat them. And they've got
a problem. A lot of their fans have got a problem with us going back to the silver thing, don't they? Which you can understand them being angry at the time, but what do they still care about now? We've sacked that manager. He's gone. He doesn't occupy our head space anymore at all.
As you say, in hindsight, looking back in hindsight, was it really that big of a? And now he's at Fulham, which is...
It wasn't a big thing to us, but it seems like it was a really big thing to Watford, and it possibly even still is a big thing. So that's why when Watford go, if we don't see them anymore, then I wouldn't be the least bit sad. Don't hate them, but I'm not going to ever root for them in any circumstances. So let's just go down there and beat them, and then hopefully we never have to play them in a Premier League game ever again.
Fingers crossed. That is all we've got time for, guys. Don't forget to like the stream before you leave. That'd be massively appreciated. If you're watching it back on YouTube, like the video and give us your score predictions as well. Don't forget, guys, you can get new Toffee Blues merchandise. You can get Richarlison with the pyro on a cup and a T-shirt. And you can also get Iwobi Wan Kenobi cups and T-shirts. The link for that will be in the YouTube description down below, so don't forget to check that out. Paul, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
No worries, mate. Hopefully we can come back on in the next couple of weeks and just be utterly relieved that this season's finished and Everton somehow didn't end up going down like we all thought they were going to.
Fingers crossed we'll all be biting our nails till then. And I'll see you guys very, very soon.